Blood on My Hands is a song that I feel like is one of the defining moments of the album, and Nick and Luke have said upon hearing the first demo that was the moment where they saw the vision for the rock opera, and that hearing that song kind of set the mood for, okay, now we know where we're headed. How do we get there?
Blood on My Hands, we knew right from the get-go was going to be one of the centerpieces of the project, because it was probably from the jump the most theatrical piece.
That song was one that we knew was going to be perfect for this album because it fit exactly what we were looking for. And I actually think that from there on we kind of knew what we wanted to do with the rest of the album as far as creating that big production, lots of vocals, lots of people chanting and shouting and all that, to make it give it a cinematic quality, and it already had that in the early demo.
The idea came, I would say, within a week of coming up with the idea to do the rock opera at all. It was the first song that I had written that hadn't already been written, but the first original song for the rock opera, I think, was "Blood on My Hands," if I'm not mistaken, and it wasn't written completely, but the idea of having the Pilate and Barabbas duet was there very early on.
It was Geoff's idea to have it be Pilate and Barabbas, and that Barabbas would be also sung by me to give it so that Jesus and Barabbas were sung in the same voice, which was a cool dynamic to me.
My idea was to have Luke do the voice of Barabbas to kind of create the dichotomy between and the contrast of Jesus taking Barabbas' place on the cross and having Jesus and Barabbas being sung in the same voice. Was important to me for that very reason.
Jeff did that. I think it was a way of kind of saying, like, this is what I want it to sound like the rest of the album. Not just let's write songs and tell stories, but to actually give it to make the songs come to life. And I think that's where it started, and that's when the rest of us knew which way we were going to go with it.
Ben Giffone, who's been our bass player for a number of years and really just played any instrument we asked him to, he is he knows Aramaic and he studies biblical languages, and he had come up with the idea when we performed the song live to have Aramaic in it, and it turns out that the His blood be on us and on our children line in Aramaic, as I later came to find out that a lot of the stuff rhymes in that language just because of the inflection, but Tama Alena Weal Banana, and I'm probably butchering the pronunciation, His blood be on us and our children, we wanted to include that and in the chanting, and it's very subtle, you can't really tell. And it's not included for controversial reasons, like so many people make such a big deal out of it. It fits because the song is about the blood on Pilate's hands, the blood on Barabbas' hands, the blood on all of us for all the wrong things that we've done. And, His blood be on us and on our children. We're guilty of the death of Jesus. It doesn't matter if Jesus was born in Rome, born in Israel, born in America. He still would have died because that's what God intended. And we're thankful that His blood is on us. But it was really cool to be able to incorporate Aramaic into one of our songs, and to use Benj in that way, and to use the resources available to us to make that song even more legit, as it were.
From what I know, and from what Geoff has told me, that was one of the hardest post-production songs that we've ever had. And it was one of the songs that another one of the songs we displayed for people early on and gave them a taste of what we were working on, and it really helped. The response we got from it really helped motivate us to keep going with it.
That song was really awesome and fun to record, including all of the chanting and all of those things. And again, you hear in the very beginning, "Are you the King of the Jews?" And that those things keep snowballing, ultimately to the climax of the project. As far as that song goes, that was the hardest song I've ever had to mix in my entire life. It took a very long time, and I would say that I think that's another song that had over 80 recorded tracks on it, just because of all the crowd noise and all those things that needed to go into it. Luke helped out a lot. We came up with the idea to add those drums in the bridge that just really it brings the intensity to an almost fever pitch when everybody's chanting and you can't really make sense of what's happening. It just really captures a mood, and I can almost picture the scene when I listen to that song even now, even though I've heard it thousands of times. There's still something about that song that resonates with me, even back to the original demo when I got chills listening back to it. Not anything of myself that I had written it or anything like that, but just the feeling of this is something that we need to do. We need to see it through to the end. And Blood on My Hands was kind of like the starting point of making sure that we honored God with the finished product.
I think Blood on My Hands was the jumping off point of making the album what it is.